himself on and the coach said, that's good dirt. So I don't know, it needs something different that they were doing.
We redid all the infields, on all the parks. And that was a brick dust, sand, clay combination, and that was to help reduce in rainouts and the use of turfus, which is pretty expensive, and what we've got now is a pretty good combination.
So that is good dirt.
Oh, it's good dirt. A lot of work, but it's good dirt.
That's all I have.
Is there any more questions at this time?
That's good. Thank you, Mr. Kenny. Greg, first off, I'm glad to see you feeling better. And second off, I'd like to compliment you again, as we always do, on the short time you've been with the city as a public works director, with all the positive work that you and your staff, not just you, but you and your whole staff have done for service to this council and to the citizens of Mauldin. And I think everyone can see that in the letter that the mayor read earlier tonight. I think it's proof of that. I just wanted to continue to say thank you.
Any more questions at this time? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Financial policy, Chairman Black.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think Mr. Eubanks gave the financial report. If there's any other questions of him about the financial report? Council? I think we have one more thing that Mr. Eubanks is wanting, I think more or less poll the council to get a consensus on the first reading date of our budget. And I think we discussed this at our last workshop. My suggestion was to put it off until the first regular committee meeting in June, and that give us 2 weeks from that to have the second final reading, which we could have a meeting in between if we needed it, and would give a better picture on our finances, our revenue and expenditures by that time, instead of just rushing the first reading. If you might, you want to.
No, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's exactly what we need, and the reason for that is if we were going to pursue, to go ahead as the budget calendar states and have first reading middle of next month, I need to know now so we can be prepared to meet the 15-day notice requirement provided for by the state law to provide notice of the budget's first reading. I know at the budget workshops there's been discussion of pushing this out until June, the first Tuesday in June with committee meetings. If that's the consensus of council, then I will, if it's okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to get a motion to that effect. We can amend the budget calendar and be prepared to advertise accordingly to meet the advertising requirements.
You want to make that as a motion?
So let's suspend the rules since it wasn't on the agenda.
Yeah.
I believe we suspend the rules and put an item on pertaining to finance that's not on the agenda.
We have a motion to suspend by Mr. Black. You have a second? Second, Mr. Hunter. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimous.
Now, I'd like to propose a motion that the council have the first reading of our budget on the first Tuesday, which would be a regular committee meeting night, which wouldn't require anybody to come additionally other than committees, but everyone's here for the committee meetings, which would be the first Tuesday in June. Then the second reading would be at the regular June council meeting.
Have a motion for Mr. Black to have the first reading of the next year's budget at the June, for a called session after the June committee meetings, and second reading at the regular council session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Geddes. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Carries unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all we have for finance and policy.
Thank you, Mr. Black. Under new business, we have no unfinished business. Under new business, we have item B, resolution regarding federal stimulus funding for mass transit. Mr. Hunter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a proposal before us to create a Mauldin-Simpsonville urbanized area transportation project funded by federal funds and state funds. Mr. Gardner, would you come forward, please, and bring council up to date?
Thank you, Mr. Hunter. Your package, you have a summary of the item here. After the 2000 census, we became eligible for federal and state funding for mass transit. About 850,000 a year federal and 138,000 state is the current number. To date, that money's just been being redistributed to other small urban transit systems around South Carolina. There was a plan done in 2005 that recommended a starter service that was not initiated due to questions over how the ongoing operating costs would be funded. Under the federal stimulus program, Mauldin-Simpsonville was allocated $1.2 million in federal funding for transit that requires no matching funds locally. Normally, there's a 20% requirement for local match. City of Greenville and GreenLink, or GTA, which does business as GreenLink now, proposed to Mauldin-Simpsonville and Fountain Inn that we should have a partnership, and the proposal that sketches the outline of that is in your packet. That would begin to provide regional transit in the Mauldin-Simpsonville urbanized area. The $1.2 million would be used to purchase 3 low-floor buses and some other equipment, bus stop shelters, signs. None of that would happen unless we concluded a planning process that made this look feasible and prudent. So the resolution essentially would keep us in a position to draw the $1.2 million. It requires no local match to buy equipment. And participate in a regional planning process that GTA has funded with the City of Greenville, City of Simpsonville, Greenville County. At the conclusion of that, you would need to make a decision whether to proceed to use that money that is available. So really what we're asking you to do is take action just to hold that option open, do a careful study to determine if the area can support regional mass transit, and then make the decision of whether to proceed with a implementation phase of it in 6 or 8 months probably.
At this point, it doesn't look like there's any city money that'll be required, is that accurate?
That's correct. We looked at a couple of different scenarios and believe that either service could be operated with no cost to the city and we state mass transit funds to match federal funds to provide the operating expenses that aren't covered by passenger fares for the system. And I think that looks reasonably promising. The worst case scenario would show probably some need for a small amount of local funding. Just in a rough guesstimate, probably $6,000–7,000 to be split among 2 or 3 cities.
In your estimation, this would be handled by GTA in a cooperative?
Well, that's not a given, I guess. That's the presumption, is to look at doing that. They are the only people that operate public transit in the region at this point. And the startup costs of trying to do it yourself are pretty large. You can contract for service, and that's certainly would be a possibility to contract with a separate private provider. We don't have a real robust market of private transportation providers out there, but there are some.
And this would be main lines along maybe 276, 417?
What's generally outlined would be either express or limited stop service connecting, at least initially, Simpsonville, Mauldin to ICAR and points north. The study would have to determine what was most feasible. What was recommended in 2005 was a transfer at Haywood Mall. And I think you could certainly look at options that would make that transfer point downtown Greenville that would give it a more, I think would give us a bigger market for commuter ridership, and would also probably get us to Greenville Tech. I think those are the big possibilities. And to me, the most attractive elements of it is to be able to provide people a real affordable connection to employment and education at Greenville Tech and other destinations.
And what do you need from council tonight?
Approval of the resolution that's in your package before you.
Any questions of Mr. Gardner?